This is about religious connotation.
This specific hyper niche group of people. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a weird group that you're calling a cult.
There's sort of like there are telltale signs that there is a cult authority going on. It's sort of like a glassy-eyed deference to some ideal that is impossible to understand to an outsider. A very specific kind of state that is existential in nature when it shouldn't be. It's sort of like, to me in my mind, it's like what they say about pornography. It's hard to define, but you know it when you see it. I digress.
Hey, let's back up, Jeff. Why did you study cults for 20 years? That's fascinating too.
I've always been interested in the idea that there are powerful mental drivers and motivators that can sort of make people override their own internal sense of critical thinking and things like that. Like, I think of cults in the same ways I think of addiction.
Were you raised in a cult? That tends to be the impetus for this interest. My wife was also very interested in that, but she was like homeschooled by an ultra-religious group of people, which is why she's so interested in it.
Not at all. I was just like, like mainstream Reform Judaism and like lights at that.
That tracks with being circumcision.
Oh, I'm not. Did you think that I was?
No. I'm mainstream, like, Reformed Judaism is not track at all. Extreme religious cult that ISIS does.
Yeah, it's up to the phones. It's as simple as that.
Raising your children is, you should leave that up to parents, generally speaking. You don't have to like everything that people do with their kids, but I generally lean on, like, let people do whatever they want to do with their kids.
There's some things where parents do that are detrimental to their children. Like just recently, I was shocked. It was less than 10. I want to say this child was 5 years old, weighing around 250 fucking pounds, and subsequently died of heart failure. And the parents got arrested for child abuse. So, if and when that kind of treatment of a child is known, that's when the state needs to get involved for the preservation of the wealth and health and well-being of that child. So no, it should not be left up to parents.
I didn't say that as a rule always. I said that you should err on the side of leaving things up to parents. For instance, I think the Amish practice of only educating your kids up to 8th grade is clearly detrimental to children. It deprives them of the choice to be able to leave Amish society because they're so undereducated that they can't function in the broader society. So their decision is basically forced upon them to stay within the group or face extreme poverty, right? Because our society does not provide for people with that level of education, right? But I'm not out here trying to force Amish people to educate their kids. I don't really care about Amish people, so therefore they should be allowed to kind of do what they want because it's not really impacting me. I think it's negative. I would not want my children to be raised that way, but I'm not going to stop them.
Well, there's a stronger overriding principle that you don't care. If you take away those safeguards, which is what made America, then you're in very dangerous territory that who decides what. I mean, obviously, if you're feeding your kids something that's going to kill them, that's extremely different than how you're raising them.
Correct.
Did you see the recent vitamin K study?
No.
I was always wondering why the 8th day. Why do we circumcise?
Oh, that's not what you said. Yeah, circumcising before the 8th day, you lack vitamin K, and you need.
Right. It peaks at the 8th day. Like
It peaks at the 8th day, and the
Yeah.
nerve endings are also the lightest. After
Yeah,
that day,
so-
it gets more painful.
right, but we only discovered that like relatively recently.
Yeah, about
You know,
25 years ago.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, you know. God has a plan.
I haven't seen Randy. Is that the Randy we know? Oh, maybe.
Where? Randy.
Listen,
Yeah, that's Randy we know. That's his
I've
picture.
seen it all.
Yeah. It's got time for a new topic.
You're asking me? How about 10 minutes?
No, Scott.
Oh,
His room, he started it.
Scotty, you still there?
I don't know. He's beginning to think though.
Was the answer the right? Have we've come to that conclusion?
Oh, it's clearly the left. It's a troll question.
There is this so-called horseshoe theory that they're starting to converge from the left and the right, but I said historically it was the left.
Yeah, but
Globally.
the horseshoe theory is true, but they leave. I mean, Tucker Carlson in the quintessential case, he left the Republican Party.
Yeah, but he's still a right-wing guy.
Really? He wants to rip apart. What's he conserving? He wants to rip apart every foundational.
Wait, are we
This
talking
guy
about the
running
United
for
States, or
Congress,
are we?
This guy, what about the guy running for Congress? And it said in Florida, it says the only real battle in the world, a Republican, that I see worth fighting is fucking, exterminating Israel. I mean, I would sign up tomorrow and go fucking put boots on the ground and go fucking kill
Oh, is that
Israelis.
Plattner?
That's Dan Bilzerian.
Plattner,
He's running
no,
for Republican
Plattner.
running for Congress in Florida.
No, this is the opposite. Planner's on the left, allegedly, and he's
Yeah.
mean.
But he said the similar things.
Platter
I don't know,
is
what
going
is-
to get beaten by the greatest political survivor in American politics, Susan Collins.
If we're making a distinction, wouldn't it be best to just see where the modal Jewish person, what their view is, where they line up in terms of
No.
their voting habits?
The modal Jewish person?
Yeah, like the typical,
No.
like who the typical, like which side the typical Jew votes for.
No, that would be.
I would assume.
I don't know what the typical Jew means.
So the average person who is Jewish in the United States, do they vote? I would assume that they would avoid voting for the people who hate them, right? I mean, that's what black people do. They
Well,
avoid
that would be a
voting for
bad
the people who
assumption.
hate them.
First of all, black people do vote for people that hate them. They vote for Democrats all the time.
Well, they
Second
don't
of all-
because black people like black people vote for the party that like best represents their interests.
Oh, they don't. But that's a whole separate topic. But
they do.
no,
they do
don't.
as they
Democrats.
define their interests, right?
Okay, so they and they're wrong. So it's a
Well, how can you can't tell people that they're wrong about their interests? You don't know their interests better. That's patronizing. You don't know their interests better than
Okay.
they do.
Okay, so let's get to the main point. The reason why that's a bad litmus test is because people vote for cacophony of reasons, including being incorrect about things and including inertia. There's many reasons. So if you go to the average voter, you would have to then go much deeper and say, why did you vote for this person? And they would say, yes, we had problem X, but I had Z, A, and B, C that I voted for. So it's not it might be a decent starting point, but it's far from a conclusive evidence of people voting on the left. I mean, the left is less abnormal.
I think people are pretty good at picking up who hates them. For instance, we just had the release of Sam Tannenhouse's book on William F. Buckley, which was approved by the Buckley family and William F. Buckley himself to write, and he got access to all of his documents. Right? William F. Buckley, when he was in high school, in prep school in the United States, he was writing in defense of Jim Crow. His family was running a White Citizens Council ad in a newspaper they controlled in South Carolina. We didn't know this at the time, but the black people sure knew like National Review was racist, right? And the White Citizens Council stuff that he was doing, his family was doing in South Carolina, that was not public knowledge, right? But like that was obviously sniffed out. I mean, he wrote "Why the South Must Prevail" in 1957, saying that whites have the right to rule in the South, even when they're a minority, have the right to use terroristic violence because they're a more advanced race. So I think people are in fact capable of discerning who has their interests at heart and who is against them. I think it is a fair heuristic in order to determine whether or not one side or the other is for you or against you.
Well, the first one didn't. It didn't address literally anything I said, and it was a terrible proof. So I'm not even sure where to go from here.
Well, sure it did, right? Because it addressed the fact that like people were aware that like National Review and that whole project was a racist project, and that's why the people who had been previously voting for Republicans, because remember, in the time that William F. Buckley was in high school, most black people would have been Republicans, right? This was the 1950s or 1940s.
Besides the fact
right?
for your anecdotal irrelevance, so this is like I really don't know where to go from it.
Wait, how is it irrelevant? Because I'm saying that people's views moved based off of who controlled the party.
Yeah, you said that 3 times. It was anecdotal, therefore irrelevant.
Wait, how is it anecdotal?
Because it was one person who lost the primary. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Wait, but
all you proved was that Buckley. All you proved was that Buckley was a racist. How does that translate to?
Because he was the architect of the modern Republican.
This is anecdotal. This is one person you're talking about.
Totally anecdotal.
He is the person who put together the modern Republican Party.
I get it, but
Yeah.
That is retarded. The modern Republican Party was put together by Reagan.
No, it wasn't.
And JFK would fit well into today's Republican Party. JFK would act at the Republican RNC like he'd fit right in. You have no clue what's going on at the Democratic convention.
Have you read Sam
Yeah, but he's
book?
right about William F. Buckley. William F. Buckley was the largest noted intellectual at the time.
Yes.
At the time.
The only thing that was wider and more fringe was the John Birch Society, right? And William F. Buckley was to the left of the Birch Society. The Birch Society was to the right of him.
Yeah, but
Right.
Marshall, how does that
Buckley
matter to what we're discussing? He didn't address at all the fact that it's a cacophony of issues. He didn't address the fact that the parties have shifted drastically in the last couple of years, making Buckley totally irrelevant. He didn't address the fact that even if it was correct...
I just thought he was talking about Buckley and like...
No,
Buckley.
he's being like anecdotal as anything. There's really nowhere to go from there. I'm just gonna...
Well, no, the parties on this topic, the parties haven't shifted at all. The Republican Party hasn't shifted at all, not in terms of party alignment.
Completely shifted. Where have you been? The
They
Democrats
haven't shifted at all.
Okay, that's okay. Sure, no problem.
Not on this topic, they haven't.
Sure.
This has been a consistent topic. I mean, they're gutting the Voting Rights Act. They haven't shifted at all on any of this stuff.
I mean, if you think that gutting the Voting Rights Act is a racist thing, we literally have
Yes.
common language.
I mean, black people definitely feel that way. 100%.
Yeah, the Democrat Party has convinced a couple of low information black people of that.
But-
it's the most
but-
racist, vile.
but-
Listen.
Wait a minute.
Racist. Listen, no, I'm not gonna.
I'm not low information though.
But it's the most racist of vile stupidity to claim that.
I just
black
brought up
people
the Sam
hate-
Tannenhouse book, which I guarantee you didn't read.
It is the most vile, racist stupidity to assume that black people are incapable of getting voter ID, and it's somehow a racist thing to say.
Wait a
that
minute,
only
wait a minute.
Americans should vote. It's stupidity to the.
Wait. Why would you need to? What does gutting the pre-clearance statute of the Voting Rights Act in 2013 have to do with getting voter ID? That's not what the law was.
All right, sure. You just the Republicans are just secret racists. You're right.
No, they're not secretly racist. They're openly racist.
Sure.
Not secretly. I'm not saying they're secretly racist. I'm saying that one of the parts of the three-legged stool was anti-civil rights. That was one of the main parts of the three-legged stool. When Buckley was in college at Yale, there was an exchange program at Yale to bring black students from Morehouse and Spelman to Yale to visit and have an exchange during the civil rights movement. And Buckley was the editor of the student newspaper, and he was totally against that. He didn't want to have black kids, and he like made clear that he was against it. He was an unreconstructed segregationist. His mom was from the Deep South. That's what he was.
Okay, I guess you proved it. So when the DSA takes over the Democrat Party and they openly say that anti-Jewish symbols, and they hide behind Zionism, but they say openly Jewish symbols and anti-American things, and they're using the Jewish cause as their way to claw anti-American, to smuggle in anti-American ideas, then because of Buckley, then I guess the left is good for Jews. You make your case.
The DSA is only relevant in deeply, deeply blue places, right?
And who under Democrat leadership has spoken against them?
So they're not relevant in places that are
And
not
who?
deeply.
Not yet.
And who?
Not yet.
Wait, one second. Let me
ask you a question.
We've just started. We're in a primary. They shouldn't. We're trying to win here. Like, right? We're trying to win. So we can speak out about them after we get through the election cycle. But we need to claw back some seats.
Yeah, pretty much. If you win the primary in the deep blue state, you'll win the general. So these three will be in Congress.
That's ridiculous because
That's ridiculous.
No, it's ridiculous to say that we have to win because they could be honest.
No, I'm just
say. No, what Adam said is ridiculous because they could be honest and say they have no place in the party. We're not going to be giving them any committee seats, but we'd like to win, so we need them in order to win.
Wait, why would you do that?
No,
because then you completely cannibalize your party. And
No, we want people to turn out in the general. We don't want to do that.
Yeah,
That's a bad
They should
strategy.
just disown these people.
that means you want to win more than have an ideology. I know that. We knew that
Yes,
since Obama.
we do because
We knew that since
the Democratic Party isn't an ideological party. It's not.
Oh my God,
It's a
idiots.
bunch of different people. Yeah, I want to win. Yes, one.
No, that,
I mean, the wings of the Democratic Party are almost certainly ideological.
But it's not. The Democratic Party does not have a central ideology. It does not.
okay, you're
Everybody
full
in
on,
the
you're full on
Democrat, so
crazy,
everybody
that's
in the Republican Party has to say that they're a conservative. Everybody in the Democratic Party doesn't have to say anything.
Not with Trump anymore. Conservative is a bad word among all those Trump voters, bro.
You're
I don't know about that.
It's considered a bad word.
The
I don't know about
Democrat
that.
Party has a logical purity in the way that the Republican Party never did.
So I mean, if that was true, Republicans would win popular votes more often, but they don't.
We
would get a lot of
aside
share
from
of
the 20th
voters.
century with Bush and Trump, we had won popular votes when we had won.
Well, the
Those are
20th.
the only two instances.
Yeah, but we're in the 21st century.
In the 21st century in which we hadn't.
We're in the 21st century.
Why are you accepting the premise?
quarter of the way
It's a
through.
stupid premise. Why are you accepting this premise? You made that up out of thin air. The reason why Republicans don't win more is because the Democrats are way better at marketing. Nothing to do with the fact that they don't have an ideology.
How do you?
The problem is,
They have a better ground game. The Democrats
Democrats are better at governing. Have you not seen
No,
the
they're
jobs
not.
report? Have you not seen the jobs report just now? We
They're
got
absolutely
57,000
terrible.
jobs this month.
they're absolutely terrible at governing. The problem with having an ideology is it takes more than a sound clip to get it out there. And
What you say?
Then you get all these low information people that have these ideas, but they can't hold it up.
So if we look from Ronald Reagan's presidency to present, right? Which party would you say has had more jobs created under their tenure? Democrats or Republicans? This is what people actually care about. Which party would you say has had more jobs created under their tenure? Democrats or Republicans?
Most definitely Republicans, and if you're going to try to pull up your report about who was in... Okay, idiots. I have no time for you. Such an idiot. If you're gonna try to bring up who was what happened under which president, that is the directional error of like.
Wait, are we just defining just the president or control of Congress? Like,
Just
there's so
the
many
president.
variables.
This is a long period of time. This is a long period of time. So Congress is basically...
I know, but hold on. The president has so little control over the economy.
But then it should be fairly even, right?
No, Adam, I just one question left for you. Do you ever get sick of being so wrong in all your predictions and being proven wrong over and over? Like,
I would think that if this was the case, right? If the president didn't matter, then because like Congress has been controlled by either party in time.
but don't be
I would think
stupid.
No, but fiscal. Hold on. What I was trying to say is fiscal policy is such a smaller driver than. Sorry. My brain isn't working right now. I hate aphasia. Government. Yeah, no. What the government spends.
Which one? Are you eating? That's why your brain's not working. No, I'm being serious. Did you eat?
No, there's two policies. One is fiscal policy, which is the Fed, and the other is what's the spending policy. The $7 trillion federal budget, compared to the total, it's more about what the Fed does and less about what the government actually spends that controls the economy. Sorry, I'll shut up for a minute.
We're talking like 50 years.
Good idea. Because if you can't speak,
I'm looking into the
it's a good idea to shut up.
It's difficult when you say just the president. I mean, it's.
You should take your own advice. Shut up.
But then again, if the president has a little to do, the numbers shouldn't be skewed between the two, right? They should be fairly consistent.
Just shut up.
Right? We shouldn't see big swings.
Well, do you think maybe we should do a room explaining correlation versus causation?
Separate room.
But why is it always in one direction then? I think it's fine. I think this is a lot of cope. That's why we're getting the answers that we're getting.
Yeah, if I can just comment really quickly, as you know, this has been studied ad nauseum, that the economy overall does better when there's and I am not a Democrat, let me caveat that, I'm not a Democrat, but the economy, going back to the Great Depression, does better overall when there's a Democrat in the White House and the Dems control at least one body of the Congress. And the reason, again, this has been studied and people try to come up with theories. The reason is Democrats are willing to spend their way out of a bad economy, or more willing, let me rephrase that. Democrats are more willing to spend their way out of a bad economy than Republicans seem to be. But
Daryl, that is correct.
Yeah, my lifetime austerity than to excess spending. Aside from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the excess spender of my lifetime in my party.
Yeah, but we're not in a recession. So Daryl is correct.
No, I'm not saying we're not in a recession. I'm just saying, like, in my lifetime, there is only one president who has not tried austerity, and it's been Trump. And you know me, dude. Like, I'm more of a fiscal conservative than a lot of people, but like, we don't have a leg to stand on that anymore.
The difference is from Ronald Reagan's presidency, which was the only Republican presidency with a significant increase in job production since beyond him. Republicans have created 17
G-dubs.
No, it was terrible. 17 million jobs have been created net during Republican presidencies. During Democratic presidencies, it's 50 million. And one of the big reasons that when we're in a recession, 9 out of the last 10 have been under Republicans, but when we're in a recession, Republicans, this is the most consistent view of either party over their entire history. Republicans view recessions as acts of nature. They have a liquidationist mindset. They've had it since before the Great Depression. They don't believe in countercyclical spending. And when FDR was elected, Herbert Hoover was on the phone before he took office trying to convince him to not spend any money into the economy to get out of the Great Depression. This is the most consistent ideological position of either party. The parties have switched on all sorts of other things, but the Republicans have consistently been a jungle capitalism party where you're just supposed to let the companies that are viewed as not making it, Darwinian, they're supposed to die. And that leads to deflation. And that leads to depression when you do that in a recession.
So that's like one of the main drivers. The other big driver is that when the economy isn't doing bad, Republicans are willing to engage and start big stupid wars in the Middle East, which disrupt the economy without any thought. They've done it multiple times. That's the other thing that will lead to negative economic growth, as we see with this Iran war, and they spend enormous amounts on wars without any like concomitant increase in taxation as well, and that's a big drag on the economy as well.
And that's something, I've never understood, economically. I don't understand why, I won't say like Republicans, right? I'll say conservatives. Why conservatives don't understand that sometimes you have to spin your way out of a hole. And they push back against it, they reject it. And again, historically, this is not about how you feel about Republicans or Democrats. Just look at the data. The data says that sometimes you have to spin your way out of a problem. And to the previous speaker, he's absolutely right. You don't. You end up with stagflation. You end up with depression. I don't get why everyone is so locked in to an ideology when all you have to do is look at the information. It's not about how you feel about liberals or conservatives. The data doesn't lie. Just look at the data.
My thought, I've been like trying to think about this. My thought on this is that the conservative movement is fundamentally not interested in growth. They are interested in distribution of what already exists. That's why they have fairly anemic job growth and GDP growth in their presidencies, but they're focused on top marginal tax rates and business tax rates. Right? They're focused on making sure those who have the most keep the most and get more, and not on how do we increase growth in the economy overall. They have slower growth rates over these periods than Democratic presidents do, because their focus is on how to get more money to rich people. And the richer you get, the less money you spend in an economy that's like mostly about our consumer spending, right? Rich people don't spend that much because you don't have to spend that much when you're super rich in order to maintain your lifestyle. You can have like a very lavish lifestyle if you make a ton of money and not spend a lot of money in terms of your net worth, right? So you save it. So, I think that's the pretty consistent thing. They've kind of always been the party of large incumbent businesses since industrialization. And obviously large incumbent businesses have lots of...
Since at least McKinley. I said since at least McKinley.
Yeah. And since those people are
Wait, Marshall, it makes no sense. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you, Adam. I'm saying this respectfully. But if you look at both sides of the aisle, both sides enrich themselves. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She's increased her net worth by millions, plural. And she didn't help me, she didn't help you, she didn't help anybody else but herself and her husband. So I think it goes on both sides of the aisle.
We're talking about the policies that the parties pursue, not individuals. So what I'm saying is when we are in a recession, Republicans do not believe in Keynesian economics. They remember when we had 2008, Republicans wanted us to be like the UK. They wanted us to not spend, right? They wanted us to just like gut it out. And what gutting it out means is lots of people lose their jobs, and as they lose their jobs, they stop spending, and as they stop spending, it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse, and more people lose their jobs, and then more people stop spending. It's a cycle, right? I don't think people understand. Unemployed people don't pay income taxes because they have no income tax. Personal income tax is the #1 revenue generator for this country. This is why we have the deficit that we have, because we're not collecting enough revenue through personal income tax, so we have to issue debt. And the debt is to cover the deficit between our spending and what we're not collecting in income tax.
Don't forget that debt is at tremendous interest.
Correct. We're told that we're told by Trump We don't have money for single-payer health care because we're in a war. A war nobody wanted. A war nobody had a chance. You just woke up one Saturday morning and we were at war with Iran. That's literally what happened. There was you went to sleep on Friday and it was normal. And relatively normal. And you didn't know anything. There was no talk about this during the campaign. There was nothing. And then you woke up and we were at war. And there's always the green eye shade accountants when you ask to spend something on Americans. But if there is a war, especially if it's in the Middle East, if there is a war in the Middle East, it is infinity money. They will spend infinity. They do not care about how much it costs. They're not trying to pay for it. It's just like, let the money cannon go.
Adam, let me ask you a question. Adam, let me just ask you this question. And I don't disagree with what you're saying. Do you feel that Trump wants to end this war at any point, or he really doesn't give a shit? Because to me, I still don't even know why we went to war.
I mean, I don't know why we went to war. Does he want to end the war? I mean, he can want to end it, but let's be honest. This seems like, I'm not positive, but I think this was kind of illegal what he did. Like, when I don't think you're allowed to knock off the leaders of sovereign countries like that. And by doing it, like, they're not gonna let you out, right? They're not just gonna end the war.
Wait, do you think it was a test?
You want to?
Do you think Venezuela was a test run for Iran?
Oh yeah. I think the difference between Venezuela and Iran is that Venezuela is like a shallow, like, kind of dictatorship where the people just got there, right? Like, I don't get the sense of the people in Venezuela like super care about their leaders like that. But Iran is like one of the oldest countries in the world, right? They have a sense of nationalism which is unlike ours. It's like super, super old. They thought of themselves as a nation for like centuries, tens of centuries, right? So they're like it's not the same, right? These are people who just like fight all the time. People in like the New World, like they don't fight wars like that over here.
Well,
right? We're not like that.
Iran was really quickly. Iran, the fuck is that? And this ties to Venezuela, right? Iran was selling oil outside of the petrol system, and that's something that can't be allowed. Venezuela is about controlling oil on the Western, or controlling natural resources on the Western Hemisphere. It wasn't really about, think about it, right? After we went in, no one was talking about fentanyl anymore, right? But now we're talking about oil. The global energy chain is a big part of this. Iran was selling oil to China in R&D. That means they're selling money outside of the petrol systems, which means if you
that's the renminbi, right?
Yeah, the R&D, yeah. So it's the renminbi. So Iran's selling oil out to China in Chinese yuan. China starts now thinking, hey, maybe we don't actually need the US dollar as the world's reserve currency because it affects so many different markets. It forces countries to hoard dollars. They usually hoard these dollars by buying US Treasury notes because the United States has never defaulted on its debt. So if I'm a country that needs to buy oil, then I'm very likely going to be buying US Treasuries because go ahead.
I just want to ask you a question because I know David's been trying to jump in. What's the exit strategy out of Iran? Is there an exit strategy?
There's no strategy.
It's called taking our toys and going home.
A failed state.
Yeah, look. At the end of the day, this was a horrible. Look, you got to understand something. They made a big down payment on the Trump administration to go into Iran. A lot of his backers did, and I'm not going to name who those people are, but they put a big down payment for us to go in there. Okay, and he thought he could do Venezuela 2.0.
In fact, he was relying on, you understand something, he's not a war president. He's not a president that understands strategy. He wasn't in the military. This is a real estate speculator, right? And so...
And a draft dodger.
And a draft dodger multiple times, yeah. So he basically got buffaloed, in my opinion, he got buffaloed into going in there. And when he broke it, like Colin Powell used to say, you know, when he used to advise Trump Sr., especially about taking out Saddam Hussein, he says, if we go in there and break it, we own it.
Bush.
Right?
Bush Sr.
Yeah, that's what I said, Bush Sr., yeah.
You said Trump Sr., it was funny.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Bush Sr., I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry, man, I'm like still early in the morning, I need more coffee. So we've always had a strategy. But when we went in, also think about it. We were also we were way more powerful, in my humble opinion, with Bush Sr. as a nation because we just conquered the Cold War. But what did Bush Sr. do? He said, "Hey, we got to take the Saddam guy out." And there's obviously talking points about did we let Saddam go into Kuwait and do we set the guy up? But even with that said, we still went to our allies and said, listen, allies, we got to go and take this guy out. So we're going to put together a coalition. And that's the difference here. Instead of Trump saying to the nations, instead of pissing off our allies and trying to go after Greenland and all this other shit that he was doing, you know, our 70-year, you know, architecture that was built after the Cold War, instead of saying, hey, we need to go in and take this guy out because he's got nukes, we got to defend our friend Israel as well because they can't go it alone. Are you guys in? And you know, are you guys in? And this is the strategy. How many troops are you going to commit to? Instead, he bought this cockamamie idea that we're going to decapitate the head of the snake. You know, there was a New York Times unleashed an article that broke a story that Ahmadinejad was kind of he was kind of a mole within the IRGC, and that we were going to reprop him up as the new leader, the de facto leader, after we took out that leadership of Ayatollah and his other officials that ran the government. Well, apparently that plan fell apart. We didn't have our Kelsey Rodriguez the way we did in Venezuela, and now we're left with an even more reactionary regime because the guy in charge now lost his parents, lost his wife, lost his kids, and these decapitation efforts. So now you got an even more rabid Iranian leadership.
Yeah, so he's mad. He's not just going to let us out.
Correct. Exactly.
If I was running things and you killed my family, yeah, I'm not going to just let you go home.
So I'd also say we've lost our story, right? America is just a story. It's a creation. It's an experiment, right? And I think the way that Trump has prosecuted this war has shown it's like if you knock the bully out in the playground, they're not the bully anymore, right? And that's really the biggest loss of this whole thing. Of people don't take us seriously. Everything is a joke. We're perceived as inept, as ineffectual, like that. This has long-reaching impacts way beyond this war and this interaction. Literally, the emperor has no clothes. We've lost our story. And how do you get that back? Well, how do we get to a point that Iran, people around the world are saying, wow, why do we believe Iran's take of what came out of the negotiations more than we believe the United States? That is a death blow. We only have our narrative. That's what we've got. And a whole bucket of consumers. And we're strangling both.
I think what happened here as well is that no one was sold on this, right? So there wasn't a lot of pushback on Venezuela because it was super quick, right? So it's over. It's like, you're like, whatever. But what you have to understand is that the average Venezuela, I'm sure that he's getting pressure from like American people who are Venezuelan extraction. It's kind of like Cuba, right? Cuban Americans care that like the Castro regime and the communists in Cuba. I'm Jamaican. I don't give a fuck who's running Cuba. Neither does anybody else in the Caribbean, right? Like, I'm not trying to die or fight to liberate. I don't care, right? And most Americans are not Cuban, right? And they do not care who's running Cuba. Subsequently, most Americans are not Middle Eastern or Jewish, and they do not care about Iran. They just don't. They do not care. So, if there is going to be a war, you've got to show that Americans are at risk. You've got to, like, get them to feel some. Nobody felt like they were going to be they were just like saying that we were going to get nuked. Right? Well, we have nukes. We understand what mutually assured destruction is. We're not worried that nobody is actually worried that America is going to get nuked. Is Iran a threat to Israel? 100%. I believe that they would kill every single one of those Israelis if given the opportunity to do so. Right? But most Americans don't care about old world conflicts. They don't care that India and Pakistan are at each other's. They don't care. They're not Indian and they're not Pakistani. That's a blood feud between two nation states. And if you're not related to either part of those nation states, why do you care? And that's what I think people are missing. You're not going to tell people that it's un-American to oppose a war when nobody in America is running around thinking Iran is going to nuke us. That's not reality. You could make the argument that if you think that Israel is at such risk, you could make the argument that Israelis could migrate to the United States, right? But I don't know that you're going to be able to sell to people after what we've been through in the past 15 years with COVID and everything and stagnant wages that they need to, and two wars already that went shitty in the Middle East. I don't think you're going to sell to them to go to another war. And this time, there wasn't even a 9/11 to precipitate it, which is why you saw that there was no bump the day we went in. None. Because people were not buying that we were at risk. Because nobody, if Iran was such a threat, that would have been a major part of the campaign. And it wasn't.
Hi, Andrea. Welcome.
Hey, happy pre-4th. I'm just trying to get caught up on the conversation, but I think it's interesting. I was just having this conversation about how much, noting how unpopular, of course, the war is, but also being struck by there is an animated enough base that is against the war, but in particular against the attacks on Palestine that are making waves. There are enough of people in that base that care enough about it that are also anti-war, but they most definitely care enough about it to have an impact on elections and races and the current dialogue. And what I find interesting is where that sits and who it is, because I think that when you talk to different populations across the country, that ranks as less of a priority for, say, a lot of young people in places like Colorado and North Carolina, but in a lot of, I wish I had the breakdown of this. I don't have access to the data right now, but I was looking at this, and there are, for New York, East Coast state, blue state, people are super animated around this issue. So I don't think that it's true that people don't care about these things, but I think that people care, and they don't want us taking these actions in the world anymore. And in terms of Denise losing the story, people don't believe a lot of what this administration says because they have been caught lying over and over and over again. So why should we believe, much?
Yeah, I think I think that is really important to think about as we think about how we exit this war. You can exit, you can lose, you can pretend to win. There's a really small bucket of options at this point. But the bottom line is we do not look like a bastion of strength. And maybe the changing of the name to the Department of War wasn't the flex that we thought it was. Maybe we should go back to the Department of Defense.
We lost. It's very clear we lost. They said that
we just
regime
lost.
change, and there's no regime change.
Exactly.
We lost.
Well, and we lost. I guess the point that I'm making is we've lost more than that.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now there's this feeling of vulnerability, and also like we've lost alignment. Canada is making all kinds of treaties and negotiations they never would have made. That really just completely go around us at a time that we need more allies and better deals. We're now positioned to have access to fewer deals and of much lower quality. Like no matter who is elected in the next election, right? Like this was a very expensive course of action, and I'm not sure how we like what the cleanup on aisle 3 looks like.
And I think it's even more than that, Denise. It's that we have squandered our soft power in diplomacy. We have shown that a massive military power wasn't able. I mean, I believe, we didn't drop a nuclear bomb on them, but we still have shown that the might of the American military, I believe, wasn't enough to stop them or to get them to back down. So, and it's almost as if you look at all this and you feel like, in a way, it's like, is somebody paying them to destroy all of America's competitive advantages in the world and, strong relationships? It's like, and there was so much incompetence involved in it along the way that it's like mind-boggling. And people get really frustrated about privilege and all these other things, but like we literally, I mean, you see like almost criminal or lack of transparency deals going on all the time. You have non-diplomats, government, advisors who are business partners of Trump, and doing deals and making decisions that cost lives, more importantly, and completely squandered our munitions, our stockpiles,
They ruined all our weapons. They stole all our weapons.
And there's more, David.
Well, no, it didn't. Well, think about it. We had our Gulf allies obeyed against Iran. On the side of Israel, we had these vaunted Abraham Accords, which were opening up the commerce and the travel between former foes of one another. Speaking of citizens of Israel and citizens of UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and other places like that. And then we put bases there. We cut deals going back to Roosevelt when he sat on the battleship. It was the SS battleship. But anyway, we cut a deal, and we've been protecting Saudi Arabia ever more for cut rate oil prices. And then we go into this incursion. And what does Iran do? They go after our Gulf allies that we really couldn't protect. Not only that, we had a big naval base that was decimated. And none of this really made Fox News or the other news channels, surprisingly. But now our Gulf allies are saying, what good are you guys to us if you guys can't defend us against our arch enemy now? And our arch enemy holds all our oil hostage with this little bottleneck of the Strait of Hormuz.
It turns out that the Republicans hated the JCPOA because it didn't give Iran enough money. They want to give them $300 billion plus. Right, the 1.5 billion on the Obama deal was small potatoes. That's why they hated it.
We have to be a little bit accurate here. It's not true that they're getting even more money. The 300 billion is virtual. The MOU is not binding. And I want to point out, David, how the UAE has responded to the attacks from Islamic Revolutionary Genocide. That is, they formed a deeper security and defense alliance with Israel and installed the Iron Dome there. And I would say that the attacks, the inexplicable and undeserved attacks of the Islamic Revolutionary Genocide Corps on their Gulf allies, not only on U.S. bases, but on civilian targets, on municipal targets, on infrastructure, has persuaded the Arabian Peninsula allies that the IRGC is untenable and untrustworthy. So that's another view of the same set of facts.
But that doesn't engage in what we're talking about in terms of that we're talking about U.S. influence around the world. We've been humiliated.
You're being humiliated!
You disagree?
I go completely the opposite. I want to point out, by the way, that our munitions, our munitions haven't been wasted. This is what they're for. And that money to pay for them was requisitioned years ago, and it is important to use our...
But then why did they ask for more money?
I want to answer your question. I definitely want to hear your question as soon as I finish my thought. But this is exactly what our military power is for, to defeat our enemies. And that's exactly what we're doing with the Islamic Revolutionary.
They're defeated. They don't look defeated.
Well, they are. They've been massively decimated. They've sustained incalculable military and also leadership losses, and there's nothing for them to, there's no way for them to respond except to act like
Bro, they're making Lego videos. They're
hang on,
laughing.
I want to hear your thoughts. Just don't interrupt me. The only way they've been able to respond is as pirates, taking a public waterway and seizing it like the pirates that they are. And now I'll take any of your questions.
I would just say we did call for regime change, so it becomes an existential fight for Iran, right? Because I don't think that they're too keen. I mean, we killed a bunch of the leaders. I don't think they're too keen to be killed, right? I don't think they're gonna roll over. If that was me and people were coming for me, I'm killing all their family, right? Like that just seems like a reasonable thing.
I don't get
that
this
seems like
family
in order.
killing thing. What
If you are in a situation where a clearly superior adversary,
you're saying they're fighting for their lives 100%.
Yes.
No argument.
So I don't understand why it's inexplicable that they would attack our allies, because our allies can be touched. They're close.
They're attacking their neighbor, their innocent civilian neighbors.
Yes.
And what do they hope to gain out of that?
What they hope to gain
irrational.
It's totally rational. They hope to gain a pressure campaign to stop us from doing what we want to do to them. Or what
So they've achieved exactly the opposite. Because by the way, they're attacking innocent civilians. Nobody seems to care. But they've achieved the opposite because they've shown these allies that the IRGC is completely untrustworthy. They are apocalyptic. They are vicious. They are bloodthirsty, and they'll just attack anybody for no reason at all.
Are we bloodthirsty?
Americans.
Are we apocalyptic?
Obviously not. Do you know what I mean by apocalyptic?
Wait.
They are
So
trying to bring about the end of the world.
When Trump said that he's going to wipe out an entire civilization,
what about it?
Was that apocalyptic?
Well, he's not doing that.
I'm not asking you, when he said that, was that apocalyptic?
Of course not. This is Trump.
It wasn't. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bloviating. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know we bloviate. Everybody knows that.
Well, see, but don't you think that everyone knows that means that he has no credibility?
Not at all.
I guess I'm listening to you. Hold on. I'm listening to you, and I really am listening, because I'm just like, you're one of the few people I've not heard anybody describe us as victorious here.
Well, you should listen to all of the military leaders who comment on this every single day, and you would hear the same thing.
I'm sure we have different news feeds.
That's
not what I'm hearing.
Military leaders.
This is
general
military leaders from which country?
America.
Which country? Yeah, I don't think that's accurate.
I don't think that's accurate. It is overwhelmingly accurate.
Okay, that's why I asked the question.
Sure.
I was curious as to what you consider victory, and this feels like victory to you.
So
you think that we are winning this war?
Is the destruction of our enemies. The degrading and destruction of our enemies. Very simple.
What does that actually mean to you, Norm? It doesn't say much.
No. We hit them militarily and take out their military capability. I think it says everything. The idea that the words military victory don't say much, I find baffling.
Then prepare to be enlightened. Just like put more detail. I'm asking you for more detail.
When you set an intention, when you go into a conflict and you don't accomplish any of the
how humiliating! It's so humiliating. We lost the war. We spent all our ammunition.
Say again?
To end the nuclear program.
Okay, I will state the goals of the war. They were fourfold. and they were repeated numerous times. I think it's disingenuous when people pretend not to have heard them. Number one, no nukes. Number two, no ballistics. Number three, no proxies. And number four, don't slaughter your own people.
What about regime
Got it?
change?
What about regime change? What about
regime change? Would be nice, but it was never a stated goal.
That's not
what?
what it said.
Come on now.
It's also big flip-flop on the goals for like getting state goals. They did it illegally.
No, it is not illegal, and it's very, very, very clear. So why don't you engage with the actual goals instead of arguing about what was not?
Are they
Yeah,
not
what
killing
I'm engaging with
their populations now?
what I'm engaging with is the fact. What I'm engaging with is that the fact that they were so unclear. They did not feel like they had to engage the American people in a pursuit that we have to pay for. So what you say are the goals that they laid out are not the goals that I remember that they laid out, and there was confusion around that. And why? Hold on. I listened to you.
And it was deliberate.
It was spelled out from the beginning.
It was not spelled out from the beginning.
100%.
Listen,
From
you
day
can
one.
listen.
Day one.
You can rewrite history however you
Not
want to.
rewriting history. I'm telling
It
you
was
what was said from the
confusing.
beginning.
It was
Not
unclear.
Okay,
And if we
which
call
one do
that,
you not
if we,
understand?
And it changed.
I understand
It
perfectly.
So why did you say they're unclear? What's
I said
unclear about it?
they were not stated
Okay, let's go
clearly
through
at
the
the
one by one.
outset of this war.
Sure
And
they
like
were.
you say that there
Yes.
was no statement of regime change, but multiple people
I
on
said it
this
was not a
stage
stated goal.
remember.
This is not we're not doing this like,
What?
do you remember as opposed to what I remember?
Trump told the Iranian
Because you
people
just want us to
rise up.
accept your
Hey,
memory.
what they talk about
That's
the
not my
Kurds,
memory. These are the
fighting the
facts
Kurds
as I'm
fight.
reporting them to you.
These are the facts
Backed
as
up
they
by
have been
sources.
restated and manipulated across
No
the time
manipulation.
of this.
No manipulation. I'll say it
Uh-huh,
again.
okay.
Anybody disagree with no nuke? Disagree
Projection
with
says
Does
what?
anybody disagree?
Projection says what?
How about no
Where we disagree is regime change.
Hey, slow down. Regime change is something that you'll notice America is very reluctant to do and has been a failure.
I'm just saying what he said. I'm
You
just
didn't
saying
say.
what he said. I don't
They
have
just
a
tried to
dog
do
in
it
that.
in Venezuela too. Behind Cuba. So
Separate country. Not talking about Venezuela, talking about the Islamic Revolution.
You know what? It's really interesting how
You
this
know
is
what?
A, this is a thing.
It's my show now,
This
bitch.
is very interesting about
I don't want to hear nothing. I just want to talk. Hello?
Never reputation of Trump. I'm not changing.
Hello?
I'm naming something.
Hello?
Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I'm naming something. I'm naming something. Well, you've been talking nonstop. So
Projection says what?
I'm naming that.
Projection says what?
Allow a kind of like patience and a tolerance of Trump's antics.
Hold on a second. Number one, no nuke, we agree. Number two, no ballistics, we agree. Number three, no proxies, we agree. Yes. Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, we agree. And number four, stop slaughtering your own people. Any disagreement on any?
Are there no proxies?
The proxies have been massively degraded. That's where we've gotten to the
Are there no proxies?
40 days of war. Yes.
Are there no proxies?
There has been
40 days. I thought
40
this was
days
supposed to be
of war.
I thought this was much shorter than that.
Say again?
More than 40 days. But I thought it was supposed to be much
40 days of war. That's exactly how long it lasts. 40 days
I would.
of active war. That was a ceasefire.
Oh, is it over?
I don't know where we're at.
Yeah, I don't think it's over.
Ceasefire.
I just think it's really funny. I guess you asked your questions. You asked your
I'm not
questions.
asking questions. I'm informing you as to the goals of the war.
But you left out regime change. You left out
It's not a
regime
goal of the
change.
war.
That's what they said.
They didn't try to stop them from slaughtering their own people. If they did, they would have intervened.
Wait, say this again. I'm sorry, it hasn't stopped. But the slaughter of the 40,000, which was one of the big triggers of the war, hasn't stopped.
That was not one of the triggers of the war. Please, for real.
Of course.
If it was, they would have intervened
It's
sooner.
your world. Say what you wanna say in your world. It's your reality. It is your perspective and your relativity. I know the
ask your questions, and then I can make my comment. So, but I guess that's not true. So why don't you go ahead and say what you have to say, and then I'll speak.
What we have to say. The same way you interrupted me consistently, I'm also interjecting, but don't be intimidated by it.
I've never been intimidated by it.
So continue.
Go ahead and finish what you have to say.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. It's your turn.
Say
You want to say?
Well, you interrupted me to say something. What is the point that you were saying? You interrupted me to say something. Go ahead and say it. And I'm listening to you. So I'm stopping so we can have an actual conversation. So you say what you have to say.
We're both saying what we have to say. So you're
But
the conversation from the stated all of which has been moved forward massively as indications of victory. And you now want to switch to the president, what you consider poor communications skills.
No, what I consider is a dishonest retelling and recalibrating of the story. The story constantly moves to accommodate and to justify that no matter what happens, Trump was right. Trump was right. This was a good choice of action. We're winning. It's revisionist history. And it's bizarre to watch revisionist history in real time. But if you, I told you several times, you know, for some reason you're not listening. But
So we're not debating the news, or we are?
we don't agree. We just don't agree. I think that it was a stated. I think it was a stated goal of regime change, and I don't think we have regime change.
Where he said that,
I have a question.
Hi, Elle. Hi, Elle. Hi, Monica. Let's welcome whoever's new to the stage. Hi, Elle and Monica.
You made a claim. You said that the president said he would change the regime. Show us, and I will concede to you. Otherwise, my direction of your claim stands. Who wants to go next?
I just wanted to ask Norm, if we've succeeded so breathtakingly and if we're winning, why do you think this war has been so unpopular in the United States and so unpopular from day one?
I think we have lost our appetite for asserting American military dominance.
Hello?
Where we must assert it in order to maintain the things that we hold dear. The freedom of the waterways, the freedom of trade.
Wait.
Hang on, don't interrupt. Hang on.
No, I'm not. Hold on. How in the world
it's Marshall.
does the
Okay,
U.S.
go ahead.
Navy being unable to project American power?
Exactly.
I completely
It's
disagree with your claim.
revisionist history.
Not
everywhere.
There's
we can't have everybody
a guy named Robert D. Kaplan, who was a writer for a think tank.
I know Robert Kaplan very well.
He argued specifically
I've
the
heard
U.S.
his
Navy
argument.
is no longer fit for purpose.
I completely disagree. I completely disagree.
What
What we have,
too long to build the ships, and C, we don't have enough people to man the ships.
this is a separate
The
question.
promise after World War II was that we would keep the sea lanes of communication and trade open. You hear me fucking talking?
Let's talk, yeah, but
So,
I'm also telling you
Norm,
that you're
stop.
changing the topic.
With your pesky
So-
facts. With your
Yeah,
pesky
so
facts
now
and
it's-
information.
I'm not doing that, Norm. At all.
It's Marshallstown! Whose town? King Marshallstown!
It's a lot. It's a lot. And you know what it is?
I was eating salad. I was getting my
It's
fucking
sad.
What happened? What happened?
Scott, you missed out, man.
It's just, I mean, it's something to just watch revisionist history in real time. You know, I mean, Norm would have been helpful after the Civil War to rewrite the story of the Confederacy. He would have been handy. Like, I mean, you just have to be honest. We just have to be honest, and it's exhausting to kind of like have this like bizarre like.
Whose town? Marshallstown!
It's a norm. He hasn't
It's
enough
a lot.
individual war. He would not be doing.
It's a lot. It's a lot to just like. It's okay to say this didn't go according to plan. This didn't go well. But to like try to frame it as some big victory is weird.
Weird! Weird alert! Weird alert! We hit the weird alert system! Weird, 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 weird!
2,000 miles away doesn't like us. Who cares? Right?
The problem is that they are actively, militarily attacking us and our allies. It's unacceptable.
We don't care about the allies. We care about our
Well,
attacking.
you don't care, but America cares.
But whenever I ask the question about who, when they say that they're attacking us, and you say, who's us?
Yes.
Hello?
America and our allies.
Hello?
Wait a minute. What they
Is
mean
this
when they say that
emergency?
they're attacking Americans is they mean
We've got incredible brain rot. I think the entire country has been infected with toxoplasmosis. How many camps could there be?
That's it. Embassy.
Our embassy, our
That's right.
Marines,
Yes.
yes, our troops in Iraq.
Stuff on foreign land. Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
We are America.
Yes.
We're a superpower. That's correct.
This continent
when we
United
go,
States. That's what they don't mean. What they don't mean is anything in the homeland.
Because they can't.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We're not just in the homeland. We're a world power.
But Americans
We are
don't care about
competing with China.
That's
I'm
what
telling
saying.
you don't care about it. America cares.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying the war is so unpopular. When you start saying that Iranians like bombed a base in the Middle East, Americans said like, why do we even have that base?
That's not what I said.
No, not you, but when that was the argument for why we did this, when that was back.
That's not why we did it.
Hello?
That's
We did it because they're a threat.
Wait a minute, let me just finish. When people say that, people are like, well, why do we have those bases? Or when they talk about individuals who have been killed.
We have the bases to protect our values and our economic
Yes,
interests.
Americans don't. I mean, it's clear that Americans don't care about that, right? They don't care about
If they
this
don't,
stuff.
then they're stupid. And stupidity is not the rule.
And
You say Americans
You can't
don't
claim
care.
stupidity. Should have known the law.
You like your
gas prices were
internet.
Hello?
They were higher under Biden.
Hello? Hello? This
So
is
anyway,
weird. History revisionism live.
The thing is here.
Projection says what?
Individuals who are non-military,
Projection says what?
non-governmental individuals in the Middle East who have been killed by Iranians. Then they start naming people who have dual citizenship and live in the Middle East who got killed.
No,
And
not
I'm
at
sorry.
all. We're talking
And I'm-
about the embassy.
And
We're talking about
they're
our Marines.
individuals.
The Marines.
They're individuals. They're individuals as well.
No, Adam, you're telling lies now. I'm talking about
As well
Americans.
who've been killed. Yes,
I'm
agreeing
you're
with
telling
that.
lies.
I'm agreeing with the
Don't tell
bases.
lies.
I'm agreeing with the
Agree with me.
embassies. I'm agreeing with the embassies. All that stuff, right?
And the Marines and the servicemen in Iraq.
Yes.
They can't do
Americans
that.
aren't trying to go to war for that.
I beg your pardon? Well,
Americans aren't trying to go to war.
You're
for that.
not
I mean, it's very
America.
clear that
It's
most.
the command.
Do you not?
But neither are you.
The
Neither are you.
commander-in-chief made the decision.
Yes,
all.
and it's
End of
unpopular.
story.
It's
So
unpopular.
what? Nobody
Well,
likes war.
We'll find out in
Do
November.
you think we have a
He's
representative?
not on the ballot, by the way, just for a little update. Now, can we go
I
back
hope
to the
so.
State of Foreign Movement?
Well, no, we do. It is on the ballot, right? Because
No, he's not on the ballot.
you're not getting any pushback because Republicans control all chambers, right?
Right.
So once Democrats
some
take over,
pushback.
there will be none of this because there will be major pushback because the other party is not going to give money for it. It will be over at that point. And
The money is not really required. I would say, although there was a recent request. The money was spent years ago on our military.
I just wanted to make one final point. So another group of people who have
I
died.
hope you see that I
people
disputed every one of your points.
fair. That's fine. People who are both who are dual citizens, Americans and Israelis, who have been killed by Iran. Right?
That's a weird anti-Semitic myth.
Wait. 1 second.
Who is a dual citizen?
Let me just finish.
Well, let's stop
Let me just finish, Norm.
Maybe you don't understand him because you don't let him finish a sentence.
No, he's finished.
Let him
Norm,
finish.
I'm not
I want to
finished.
learn about these dual citizens.
I'm not finished, Norm.
I know you're not finished.
They're individuals who live in Israel they're individuals who have dual citizenship who live in Israel and they have been killed by Iran, right? In like those strikes they have. Americans are not moved by people who choose to live in dangerous places who are also Americans and die. That does not make them want to go to war. We had a kid who went to North Korea, right, on a trip, and I don't know what he did out there, but they sent him back in a body bag. And no Americans were talking about going to war because this American kid decided to go to North Korea and get himself killed. We are not interested in fighting. Like, this is not a gang, right? You are not a made man. This is not a gang. You go overseas to a dangerous place and you get killed. We're not riding for you for that. We're not. You chose to be in a dangerous place. You could have stayed your ass in the United States. You could have gone to any other place in the world that's not dangerous and not been killed. We're not normal Americans are not interested in fighting a war because you chose to go somewhere where people are killing each other.
You can express your opinion at the ballot box like everybody else. I get it. That's not the decision of the commander-in-chief.
But that's not the point that he was making. The point that he was making is that this is not a popular war. That's the point that he was making. We know that he's a commander-in-chief. No, that's actually not true. Americans have a history.
Hang on a second.
Americans have a history of coming together when there is a war or a conflict. Why are they not doing that for this one?
Depends on the war. Some yes, some no. People were against World War II.
Why are they not doing that for this one?
Because people don't like war. People were against getting involved in World War II. We resisted it for years, probably to our detriment.
Until we were attacked.
And that was a mistake to wait that long because we could have made better progress and saved more lives.
Well, no, it was not no, that's wrong. It was a good idea to wait that long because it allowed the Germans to spend some of their energy.
Absolutely false.
You don't want to. I don't know that America wants to fight a fresh Germany. I don't know that we want to fight.
It wasn't a fresh Germany.
I don't know that
we took over Europe.
I don't know. No, what I'm saying is I don't know that Americans would have been happier to fight a Germany that hadn't yet spent a bunch of its men in war. I think
there was an intermediate point.
They were kind of sucking wind.
Intermediate point. Okay, you have a different opinion about the military. Fine.
Okay. Great.
Fine, you express your different opinion about the military. I would say it's an uninformed opinion. I'd say it's uneducated.
Okay.
We're
always uneducated.
Correct.
It only takes a few minutes for you to come to us being uneducated.
Who is us?
Caleb, L. Does anybody else want to add something to the conversation?
I will say this. I think when we evaluate how effective this war was or wasn't, I mean, look, popular opinion, I do think there's a sense that after the debacles in the Middle East and Afghanistan and Iraq too, that we don't have a stomach for this stuff. But also,
we don't have a stomach for war? You don't have a stomach for war.
But the question is that really the threat?
War!
Have we made progress towards the nuclear materials? And then you open the can of the Strait of Hormuz.
Made progress? We've blown them to hell! Back! We've wiped out 200,000 soldiers and all their major military capability. And if they try to rebuild, we will do it again! Hello!
These are things which I don't know that we can.
They're playing using international waterways. I promise you, the world will not put up because there are other things around the world where they get away with it. We'll seize the straits like Gibraltar. And there's other straits over by Singapore. So we are, in case you guys didn't realize this, we have this all over the world. And we are defending those lands. In case you didn't realize it, that is the point of American power. Well, that's the decision that we might not have to do. We might not have a choice. But that's what we're doing. This is enough. We're not going to put up with it. Whether you understand why or not, we are going to defend the freedoms that we found. And this is how we're doing it. And please go ahead. I don't want to be the only one talking.
Caleb, Shy, welcome. We haven't heard you speak.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Hi, cutie patootie, everything's great.
I share a little bit with Norm. I do think that there is a defense going on in America, American bases and personnel and things like that, and we should.
Hello?
So I'm not sure that this is a success.
Hello?
I don't think
You? Hello?
we see Iran in a better position
Hello?
than before. Certainly, capabilities-wise, maybe hasn't diminished, but I think they've just been given the capability to rebuild. It's the worst JCPOA, which all those people hated in the first place. It's kind of my view at the moment.
Yeah, the Republicans give no reparations to black people, but $300 billion to Iranians in reparations. It's amazing.
That money would not come from us. Please go read
Amazing.
the MOU, which is non-binding.
Amazing.
Well, what you're being amazed by is a fiction.
I'll just say I don't view Iran as a threat to America. Iran is a threat
Well,
to
then you're not then you don't
Iran is
then
a
you
threat
don't know
to
reality.
It's not a threat to America.
So Iran has been saying for 50 years, death to America, death to America, and
America's
attacking
super
us.
strong. I'm not worried about it.
Yes. Well, then you should be, because they're getting stronger, and what we don't want is another North Korea. Now, if you don't realize that yours lack, not America's.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again? Say that again? Say that again?
I said that we don't want another North Korea, and if you don't see that, that is your lack, not America's.
How have I been negatively impacted by North Korea?
Very, very, very close-minded. So
I'm just asking. Can you answer me?
He's answering your question.
So, yeah, I'm trying to. So, what Obama's advice was to Trump when they changed administrations is the greatest threat to the world right now is North Korea. Because they are a nuclear power that wants to dominate the region in the world, they are perhaps the most unpredictable threat to the United States on the planet as of right now. And we can go into all the details as to what. Now, again, if you don't understand geopolitics, then maybe you should sit it out. Now, you may have something you want.
He asked you a very simple question.
I gave it to you, and I gave it to you. Well,
It was a generic answer.
But if you want something for the government, and somehow think that you're like reparations, and if you think that you're trading this thing that you want for the government for the defense of America, it's two different battles.
I don't actually want reparation. I just thought it was a funny thing to say. But
I didn't realize you were kidding.
You haven't answered how I have been negatively impacted by North Korea having a nuclear. What has happened
I'm talking
since?
about America. I can't speak to you.
How have American citizens, normal Americans, been impacted negatively? What has changed since North Korea got a nuke? What has changed specifically for Americans living in America? Please explain.
The threat of nuclear Armageddon from a rogue and unpredictable state.
So they've nuked us?
Can I ask a question? Wait. Can I ask
you don't understand what the word is, right?
Hold on, Norm. Can I ask you? I want to ask you a very sincere question. I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna take my breath.
Questions rather than finishing any one time.
I'm gonna take a breath, and I'm gonna ask you a very sincere question.
So, by the way, America is within striking distance of Pyongyang. Now, if you don't see that as a threat, America does. It's your lack to not see North Korea as the threat that it is.
Okay, can I ask you a question now?
Now let's change topics.
Do you think that America threatens other countries? What do you think about we're going to take Canada as a 51st state. We're going to seize Denmark. We're going to seize whatever. But how do you... No, Greenland. How do you think about that? How do you think about that and how that presents us to the rest of the world? So the rest of the world should ignore it?
Well, we're not going to do it, so it's just...
the question I'm asking is, should the rest of the world ignore it?
I can't tell the rest of the world what to do. It's silliness, it's bloviating, it ain't going to happen. It's Trump talking nonsense.
So, no, because you're saying when these countries say death to America, that we should be panicked, right? That was one of the things that you said.
No, not panicked. We should take them seriously.
We should take them seriously. Yeah. But they shouldn't take us seriously when we say things like, we're going to wipe a civilization off the face of the earth.
So the difference is that Iran has nuclear weapons.
We have nuclear weapons. So when we say we're going to take Greenland, when we say we're going to do that, I'm not letting you change the subject.
Hang on, you're not going to let me or not let me do anything, in fact. So, yes, we're not attacking other nations. We're not threatening them with nuclear weapons. And we have not been killing Americans for 47 years. That's the difference.
I think
So if you don't take the threat,
inconsistent.
If you don't take the threat of Iran seriously,
That's not what I asked you.
privilege.
That is not what I asked you. What I asked you, that's not what I asked you. What I asked you is, should the rest of the world take our threats seriously? That's my question.
And what did I say? Did you listen? I do want to hear from
Sir
you.
Shai, go ahead.
Hang on, I want to finish one conversation before we keep skipping around.
We're not. I mean, you're not engaging. I asked you.
I am engaged.
So you
What did
just
I
said-
say to you?
You just said it's bloviating. I asked you, should they take us seriously when we say things like that?
What do you
Should
think?
they care?
What do you think?
Should they care? I know what I think. I was asking you what you think. Because
I
I'm
know,
trying
and
to
I
find
asked you what you think.
consistent.
What do you
I'm
think?
trying to find a consistent arc through what your arguments are. So you
Okay.
say when they say something, we
Yes.
have to take it seriously.
So Denise,
We
I
have
have breaking news for you, Denise.
Oh my God.
You're an American. I'm an American. So yes, threats to America, bad. Is that easy enough for you?
That's not what I said. See,
Any
you're
questions?
you're
No, do you have any
actually
questions?
you're actually engaging with a point that I didn't make.
No, I'm not.
I didn't say I listen to me.
I'm not
Listen,
engaging with a point.
listen
I'm
to the
enlightening
point
you.
that
I'm
I'm making.
enlightening you. Threats
You're
to
not
America,
enlightening me of
bad.
anything. You are inconsistent
Yes, I am.
in your philosophy.
No, I
You
am
think
America
that
focused.
they
So
should be
threats
held
to
accountable.
America, bad.
And I think threats
Yes.
to Denmark is bad.
But is
Then
it
threats
credible?
to Greenland is bad.
Is it
threats
credible?
to Canada is bad. And
But
guess
they're
what?
not
They
credible
think
threats.
that
It's
too.
bloviating.
But what I'm saying is, but what I'm saying,
Okay, fine.
what I'm saying to you,
Yeah.
what I'm saying to you is
Yes.
that it's bizarre
Right.
that you only consider that you have you have nothing to say about the threat that we represent, the instability that we represent in the
No, we
world.
represent stability. It's the
The
opposite
Strait
of
of Hormuz is closed. We don't
Strait of
represent
Hormuz is closed
stability.
by pirates. Eventually, we will introduce
Go ahead,
ourselves
Shai.
and wipe.
Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so you're not the one that's not engaging, not me.
No, we just disagree. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
Do you disagree that these things
Put
are
that
pirates or
Back
not?
and forth.
This is
back.
weird.
My point to
Do you
you.
think Iran is pirates or not?
My point to
You understand you're not
you is
engaging?
you have not answered my question.
Hello?
And that's
Okay.
what I
Let's
wanted
hear
to
the question.
understand.
Let's hear it one last time.
I don't know because
What did Europe think of us? Is that what you're saying?
I
Europe
didn't say.
think-
I literally just
Yeah,
asked
Europe
a
and
very.
Canada.
What I asked a very simple question.
Yeah.
Should we be held accountable for what our leadership says?
Sure.
Does that diminish how
Sure.
we are perceived in the world? That's
Sure, they
it.
held us accountable.
That was
But
the
we
answer.
didn't have
So that
to.
you answered my question.
We
That's
didn't
it.
kill their people.
Shai, go.
So, and they don't have nuclear weapons which we're going to attack them with. And by the way, we're not going to attack them with nuclear weapons. Iran is, and they've said it many times. So a nuclear threat from Iran or North Korea, not Iran, the Islamic Revolutionary Genocide Corps. They're committing genocide all over the world. It's another reason for us to stop them, by the way. So a credible nuclear threat from an apocalyptic enemy is not the same as El Trumpo from Queens bloviating, saying, we should take Canada.
I'm gonna be honest,
They're
I
apples
don't
and
care
oranges.
if Iran
They don't
kills
even get,
people.
that's
I don't
okay.
care at all.
They don't even get mentioned in the same breath. And
Shai.
it's not serious to
Okay,
ask that
great.
question.
Heard you.
It's not, it's
Shai,
not
go
serious.
ahead.
It's not serious to ask that question, Denise.
Okay, Shai,
It's not
go
a serious
ahead.
question.
Thank you. So, as far as anything of, as far as like answering the questions go, I looked it up, and as the transfer moves are as of today open, but they have restrictions because of restrictions by the government, the current government of Iran.
So they're not
And as far as Trump goes, I personally agree with you, Denise. I do not think that the President of the United States should be bloviating without a cause, right? That they should, have the higher standard and be
I agree with that too. I think he should not be bloviating. So I'm on board with that.
And representing America in a better light. With that said, I do not believe that past presidents have set such an example, right? They set us a better example for as far as American leadership went, because they represented themselves and the country in a better light than the current person sitting in the White House, in my opinion. Right, that's my opinion as a citizen. And I think that we in America have to understand that other people around the world do not play by the same morals and rules that we play by, right? They are not consistent in their morality or their philosophies. Because it is about the desire of many of the individuals who run those countries, how they view the world should work, right? And all of it is, right? Even America, even our systems of equality and our morality, all of those things are by our national ethos, our philosophies, and our desire. Right, there's nothing that says in the world before America took control of this, before World War II, was a world of chaos. It was a world of extremes. It was a world of death and destruction that people really don't remember anymore, because we've lived in such a stable world. And sometimes a little bit of chaos is what you needed in order to create this type of stability, right? So we can sit here on our phones and contemplate and pontificate and talk about and philosophize about our moralities and consistencies and inconsistencies, those sorts of things. So we don't have to worry about surviving every day like some people do in some countries where they have massive instability. And not created by us, but created by them and their own, their own inconsistent moralities. That's all I want. Oh, and
if you have any doubt about American power, look at the difference between our ally, South Korea, and our enemy, North Korea. One is a dystopian nightmare with nuclear weapons threatening the world, and the other is a great ally that produces wonderful electronic goods, and we work together with it, and it grows the world's economy, and everybody benefits. The same thing with Japan. The same thing with Europe, which we built. We reduced Japan and Europe to ashes in World War II because they were genocidal maniacs, and then we rebuilt them into our partners. That's the American way.
I don't really care about the internal politics of Iran, who's running it, who's getting killed by what faction in charge.
The thing to worry about is their nuclear threat. That's the thing to worry about. We don't care about their internal politics either. We're allies with Saudi Arabia. We need their oil. They're a totalitarian monarchy, but we need their oil, so we're buddies with them. The problem is, the difference is, Saudi Arabia doesn't threaten us.
Didn't Trump say that last year? Didn't Trump say last year that we'd already destroyed the nuclear program?
I think he used the word obliterate.
Obliterated, yes, obliterated. So there's no nuclear concern, according to Trump. There was no nuclear concern for this.
Not true. Not true.
He said that they were. So was he lying then, or is he lying now?
Which one? Do you care? You don't believe anything he says. So why?
I'm curious. What do you think? I'm curious. What do you think? Do you think he was?
I think he exaggerates and blows you.
Yeah,
Don't you think that's true?
I wanted to say
disagree, Adam?
Yes, I disagree.
Okay, so tell me express what I said to you.
I don't think it was his exaggeration. I think he was just lying at some point. I can't pinpoint.
Well, we obliterated some of it.
Can I say?
That's undeniable. We used B-2 bombers to smash their program. I think we've discovered other sites, and I think they've rebuilt it somewhat. We realize that they are apocalyptic, and no, we are not apocalyptic. We've created a safe and free world, and Iran wants to take that world down and either bring about the 12th Mahdi, if you study their theology, or else conquer everybody, including their Sunni Arabs. Say again?
Eschatology.
I don't care if they want to conquer Sunni Arabs. I don't give a shit about that.
Well, you should. You should, because that affects us. Because then we don't get the oil, and then we're living in a different world.
Well, I think part of the
it's
problem
funny because I know Adam for sure takes the opposite position when it comes to Russia. He's like a hawk when it comes to Ukraine, but Trump is going against Iran. He doesn't care about intervention.
No, we didn't fight Russia. We didn't go Russia.
Sending weapons to Ukraine.
A lot of money.
Yeah, sending Jojo weapons, not our latest and greatest weapons. Absolutely.
Well, we've invested billions of bucks.
It's just a free for all yelling at each other.
Yeah, let's try to have one mic.
You're a hypocrite.
I just wanted to interject
No
a little bit.
personal attacks.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think one of the problems that a lot of Westerners have, right, a lot of Americans have, because we have such a individualistic reality where we also have, like, you know, free, for the most part, free and legal elections and things like this, right? Is that we, and also our religions are sort of individualistic. You can do this, you can do that, you can choose to do this, choose to do that. We are not run by a theocracy, because we kind of believe that other people in other countries and other cultures, that they believe like we do, that their religion is individualistic and not really going to affect the world over, right? When they say that, like, when people, like the guy, the Ayatollah, says that he wants the Mufti or whatever, the Mahdi to come, they like truly mean it. They are worse in many ways than the Christian nationalists or evangelical highly evangelical Christians who want, you know, Jesus to return, because they are willing to blow up the world in order to do it. And something that we just don't take into consideration. We don't think that they mean it when they say it. We don't think that it's real, because we just think it's magic, right? They believe it's magic. No, they actually believe it's real, and they believe it's more real than we believe each other are real, that we believe that the Constitution is real. And that is actually quite frightening if you actually study what they believe and you think about it. And as far as like
What?
the Constitution of the United States.
I think you said Israel. I'm like, what?
No. The Constitution of
He said is real, as is.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm like, they don't have a constitution.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans do not believe that the United States Constitution is either real or applies to them, or is applied to the state. They believe that people just sort of make up whatever they want to make up, and I believe, and that part is like sort of right, because that is part of the national ethos that we have. But a lot of Americans don't even believe that it should be valid, right? Which, but you know, certain people believe that their religious eschatological realities are going to come true today, this very second. And as far as like direct threats from North Korea go, and other people that have such nuclear weapons or deterrents, like those cause America, part of that reality is they cause Americans to spend more tax dollars in national defense and also other deterrents. So the bigger weapons they have and build, the bigger weapons that we need to have and build, because in many of these places, not every single one, many of them are direct threats to us, as much as we feel that you know, Trump may be a direct threat to others, and that it costs taxpayers dollars and affects like the global economy from
I mean, a big difference is North Korea is not suicidal. Iran is suicidal. Their ideology is spelled out. They are a vicious, terroristic, murderous regime, murdering their own people and murdering their neighbors. Not just Israel. They're responsible for 350,000 dead black Sunni Arabs in Yemen. They're responsible for 650,000 dead. Well, you should. It's very thoughtless of you not to care about Yemen. And the 650,000 dead
really inconsistent. It's also really inconsistent.
How is it morally inconsistent?
Is this Isaiah? No offense.
Yes, it is. It is him.
Hey!
How is it morally inconsistent?
Hi!
Because you care about everything else America does.
Get it down.
No. I care about America. I don't care about.
Well, but then
I don't care about the old world.
Yeah, well, it's like,
you're not really.
Listen.
You don't understand
There's a lot.
America.
There are genocides in Africa. I don't give a shit about that. I don't care about India and Pakistan going at each other. I don't care about India and China fighting over borders.
Okay, we get it. You don't care, but that's very close-minded.
And I don't give a shit about systemic racism against black people.
That's fine.
Well,
That's
don't
fine.
say that. That's not.
Well, how is that any different
That's
than what
fine.
you're saying?
That's fine. You don't have to. I'm not asking you.
You're calculating the rudeness.
He's
Let me calculate the rudeness. Huh?
I'm not asking you to care though. I'm not asking you to care.
But both of those statements are short-sighted.
In order for me to care, if he cares, I would have to ascribe some sort of power or something But like, he doesn't have any impact on my life, so why does it matter to me if he cares
Well,
about
but
systemic racism?
we're making philosophical points. It's not a question of whether he can affect civil rights or something. We're talking about our values. And our value is we are the world's one superpower. And we want to defend that in order to be able to defend the things we hold dear. Otherwise, we might be speaking German,
I thought we weren't trying to be
Russian, or
America's
Chinese.
police. I thought that was the world's police. The world's police. Sorry, I thought we were not trying to do that.
We're not trying to do what anymore?
Be the world's police.
No, we really shouldn't be.
We said
We
we're
really
not.
have to be.
I thought that's
How
what.
can we
I
not
thought
be?
that's what. I know the neocons want us to be that way, but I thought that's
Not
what.
the neocons.
I thought that's what
we
Trumpism
are.
was.
How can we not be?
No, we really.
Wait, didn't he say no new wars?
That's
We
what
didn't know
I thought.
forever.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wars going on. This whole, I mean, we're at the beginning of a
But you can laugh as nervously as you need to. But the facts are very important.
Didn't they tell us that
It's very
Kamala
important.
was going to be the one to start a war with Iran?
No,
They
I don't
said
remember that.
vote for Kamala and you'll get a war with Iran.
I don't remember
And now we're in a war with Iran.
It was like the Republicans or the leftists.
I did. No. Trump said I'm going to find the tweet and I'm going to post it.
Oh, well, doesn't
Wait.
Trump will say anything.
But Trump didn't say no new wars as he ran for
No new
office.
forever wars.
No.
Yes,
Trump,
yes.
no,
Yes.
please.
Go find it.
You go find it. You go find it. I don't work for you. You're
Okay,
not being
great.
honest. He
I'm not-
literally
you're not
said it
being
on the
honest.
campaign trail
You're not being honest.
dozens of times. He said no new
No
wars.
new forever wars.
Oh,
But it doesn't matter. No president ever could say that we will never have another war, and then the sort of like isolationism and this idea that we shouldn't engage in wars with other entities because we just don't want to is kind of lazy thinking. Because
well, that's a funny position. That is an appropriate position. Wait, hold on. No. I think I think what you just said is an absolutely appropriate thing to say, but that's not what he said. And I think that is the thing that is troubling me, is that's the revisionist part of this. That is not what he said he was going to do.
Fair enough.
Because why do you care?
That is not what he said he was going to do. And so
Okay,
people
why do you care?
People voted for him based on what he said he was going to do. And this is
Right.
something he emphatically said over and over again that he was
Right.
not going to do. And now we're revising
that's not
history. Revising history to say, no, he didn't really say that. That's not what he really meant.
Yeah,
and we shouldn't listen to
But you
him.
hate it, and you don't believe a word out of his mouth, so why do you care whether he told the truth or not?
You just said that he doesn't tell the truth. He bloviates. That wasn't
That's
that your
correct.
euphemism?
Bloviating.
Is that telling the truth, Norm?
Is what? Bloviating?
Is bloviating telling the truth?
It's political hyperbole. I'm not
Yeah.
saying he tells the truth. I'm not saying
No,
he
but
tells the
Denise,
truth.
I think this is actually what Bill Maher brought this up like a few weeks ago when he said basically that.
Okay, boomer Bill Maher.
Yeah, I like Bill Maher. I like that.
Well, people like him.
I like
He's
him.
an important
He
voice
said,
right now.
He said, that there's this group of people that feel betrayed because they were like, no new wars, right? No, we're not doing this. And he calls them MAGA classic, right? Or Marjorie Taylor Greene now would say she's not MAGA, she's America first. And then this other group of people are like, well, yeah, he said that, but Trump knows it all, and if he says it's okay, that's kind of J.D. Vance, right? I mean, Vance would say, the difference between this war in Iraq and Afghanistan and everything is well, Trump just knows what he's doing, not like all these other people, right? I mean, so there is this rift right now, right, where some people are just like, well, we know he said this, but he's Trump and he just knows what's best, and we'll go with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an isolationist. My view is that if America is attacked, and by America I mean the 50 states of America on the mainland, I'm not talking about no fucking embassy, who gives a fuck? If the continent is attacked, then America should defend itself. In terms of wars of choice, no, we shouldn't do that shit. In terms of preemptive strikes, which is what this was, no, we shouldn't do that either. It's a waste of money.
It's not a waste of money. Militarily, it makes sense. Now, you can disagree, but you're not informed really militarily the way the president is.
I mean, he's not informed about anything. That's why there's no plan. That's why it's so clear there's no plan. He was like, who could have known they were going to shut down the streets?
The
Who could have known the transfer to get shut down?
began planning this war 47 years ago, actually.
They didn't. The problem, yes, the Pentagon knew, but the problem is the Pentagon didn't make their plan into a cartoon for Trump to be able to see it. So he didn't read it, so he didn't know.
Now you're just making a personal attack. You're not advancing the conversation. I have the quotes from Trump, and here's two of them. First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Why would I have built the strongest military in the world? I built our military. This is from Trump. Here's another one on CNN. I didn't promise anything. I don't.
No, you gotta get it. You gotta get this stuff. This is after the fact.
I don't like. Hang on. I said I don't like these endless wars. This is not an endless war. Doesn't that sound more like Trump?
Can you get the quotes from before, like during the campaign cycle?
He's not serious.
But I've done.
He doesn't mean it. He's not curious about this. There's literally a million.
I'm
There's
curious.
a million clips of this.
I'm
Whatever.
curious as to your delusion. I find it fascinating.
My delusion that he did not. My delusion that he said no new wars.
No, your delusion.
That's my delusion.
You don't understand the need for us to project.
I didn't say that. I've never said that.
You do understand.
I literally never said
So
that.
you do understand.
Adam and I are different people, and I've not said anything to that.
No, you do. Then you agree.
I asked you
Project
a
our power.
very specific question.
Now you're going backwards. What question did you ask? You're all over the place today.
I'm not all over the place.
You really
are. Just don't put words in my mouth. I never said anything to that.
I didn't say you said it. I said you don't understand the need for us
Right.
to
You're always
protect
very
our
clear on
power.
what the rest of us don't understand.
Well, do you understand that?
Derisive, Monica, did y'all want to add something to the conversation?
Wait. I don't want to miss.
Let's let other people have some space on the stage. It's okay to share some room on the stage and let other people talk. Go ahead, Derisive, Monica.
Get out of this. But you
Oh, I'm out of it. I'm absolutely out of it. I'm already out of it. I know that I heard him say dozens of times.
Marvelous. And I know that based on what you said,
you pulling up some clips of what he says when he's challenged on what he said. See, the difference is I don't have to prove anything to you. I don't work for you.
Okay, and I don't work.
So I don't have to prove anything to you. If you want to look up, you have the same Google machine that I have.
Yes,
look
that's
up
right.
clips that
And
he said no new wars,
Right.
and you didn't find any. And you didn't find any. You looked up where he said no new wars.
I looked it up.
You looked it up and you didn't find any. Okay.
No,
so we're not on the same plane. So Derisive, Monica, feel free to.
Right. So the point I was making is, based on your comment.
Norm, let other people talk.
When I'm finished.
No, you're finished. Let other people talk. I'm shutting up. You shut up.
No. So I'm going to finish my thought and you're not going to keep interrupting me. So I said that based on your comment.
You're being a dictatorial Iranian right now.
You don't understand that well, stop interrupting me then. You don't understand the need for America to protect our values by projecting military force. That's what I said you don't understand based on your comments. Now, if I'm wrong about that, you can say,
Let's not throw
understand.
minds down, by the way. Let's not do that.
Okay,
We're not
all right.
doing that. We're not doing that.
Okay.
Where does Denise come back up?
Back up.
I'm in and out, but like this is not. We're not gonna do that.
Who wanted to go next?
I will, if I may, say something. You know, politics are very complicated, right? And I think I think that this election cycle should show all Americans that we should be engaged in the character of the candidate that's running for president, right? We should like look at his character, what they say, if they stand by their word, if they have like a particular sense of morality that is aligned with the values and the ideals and ideas of America, they stand, you know, by their vows and character. To dealing with internal politics, American politics, and the politics between the United States and other nations is two different things, right? It's two different realities and two different skill sets. And sometimes they intersect, and sometimes they don't intersect. They're completely like separate. but America and Americans should be interested in maintaining a good sense of order internally and externally, because that does affect the world's economy. That affects America's economy. It affects our jobs. It affects our oil. It affects how we interact with the rest of the world. And I think that whoever the next president is, those things should be taken into account by all Americans.
Well, I think that's right. I think that's right. And it is anxiety provoking that we have to defend our values militarily sometimes. But it's also necessary. In fact, it has been necessary for a long time to remove the threat from the Islamic Revolutionary Genocide Corps. It should have been done long ago. And we blew it. I'm not blaming necessarily, but I mean, Jimmy Carter, let's face it, he screwed up. It was a screw up. And us believing the Ayatollah Khomeini, his name should be blotted out, was a mistake on our part. I'll tell you what, I believed him in 1979 too. I was wrong. But we have to learn from our mistakes. And part of that means, once again, asserting, by the way, I was going to say for the 10th time, asserting our values, sometimes militarily. So, there are two defenders of the freedom of the waterways. Does anybody know what they are? Traditionally, they were the British Empire and more recently, America. Those are the only two people who can do it. And presumably, or hopefully, the other European allies will join us, as Italy has sent a minesweeper to the Strait of Hormuz, and France has sent an aircraft carrier over there, and England has quietly allowed us to use their bases. This is stuff that needs to be done. Turkey is rising too. We're going to have to deal with Turkey also. And when somebody said that the Strait of Hormuz was open before and it's closed now, well, Trump got it open diplomatically. You should give him credit for that, rather than having to put American troops on the ground. Say again? He didn't spill the milk. The IRGC spilled the milk. What's that? The IRGC spilled the milk. We didn't tell them to close the Strait of Hormuz.
We attacked them.
Yeah, of course we attacked them.
And of course they
they're a horrible... What's that?
And of course they closed the strait.
Well, I don't know why you say of course. Because of course they're pirates?
It only makes sense to do when you get...
Well, it's like saying it makes sense to go rob the store. Sure, and then when you get shot, that makes sense too.
Well, no, that's not the order of events, though.
Yes. They were sponsoring terror proxies this whole time. That's an offense.
We attacked...
They were developing nukes the whole time. That's an offense.
They were
developing ballistic missiles.
Well, they weren't developing nukes under the JCPOA. They really started...
Yeah, they were actually. They were actually. We lured up after we... Incorrect. So we discovered that they'd been cheating the whole time in 2018. Before we tore up the JCPOA, we discovered their secret nuclear sites. What?
Contracts in the same way that the contracts in the same way that we do, and there's no real court to take them to. What are you gonna do? Take them to the International Court of Justice? It's the last time person they arrested the Nuremberg people, right? So
the Judge Judy.
Yeah, there's no way to enforce those contracts. So when America or other countries engage in treaties and contracts with other countries, we just sort of take their word and that they're going to adhere to them, and it's not always guaranteed that it will be true. I mean, the same for us, right? A lot of it is word for word by the leaders and the legal systems of those countries.
By the way, we caught them cheating. Never mind the sponsor of terror proxies and the ballistic missiles, which they were doing under the JCPOA, but we caught them cheating. And not only that, they signed nuclear non-proliferation treaties, and they broke that too. That was before, during, and after the JCPOA. So it was just a bad deal.
Iran has to have ballistic missiles. You can't tell them they can't have ballistic missiles, and Saudi Arabia has them.
Why not?
I don't know. That's what Trump said, though.
I know. Well, Trump says a lot of nonsense. I'm not. We think I'm going to defend all the stuff that comes out of his mouth. The interesting thing. Why are you laughing?
It's just a very funny thing. It's very stupid.
Well, it's very honest, though. Huh? You can stay unmuted. It's very honest.
I just thought it was very stupid. And I thought the people put their faith in Trump. They got exactly.
I don't put my faith in Trump.
I didn't say you did. I said the people who did put their faith in Trump. They got exactly what they deserve.
Some people did, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said the people who put their faith in Trump believe everything he says. See, I mean, you'd be crazy to put all your faith in Trump. He happens to be the man who's in this position doing what needs to be done in this moment. Clumsily, ignorantly, weirdly, using his gut and his instincts instead of using the traditional instruments of government to his own enormous gain, apparently, based on the $2 billion that he seems to have accumulated in the past year from crypto. God only knows. But we needed somebody to do the things that he's doing in order to buttress our American power, which we use to defend our values, which we use to defend prosperity. The prosperity that is given you, Adam, I'll call you Adam because I don't want to, call you, unless you want me to, which has created the beautiful lives, Baruch Hashem, that you enjoy, Adam, and that I enjoy, that Derisive and Scott and Shai and Grace enjoy. There's an ugly, and Monica, and all the people in the audience, there's an ugly side to this. And the ugly side is that sometimes there's going to be a Vietnam or a South Korea or a Venezuela, which was a very subversive force in this hemisphere. And we're going to go after Cuba next. I have every expectation.
I think people also don't realize or respect the idea that before 100 years ago, World War I, like all of these empires, before most of them became states, they were all looking for the ability to control everything that America sort of won out in control, and they do not really. It would have been the world would have been a much worse place. It's already bad enough, but I don't think anybody would have really wanted, Turkey and out of an empire to control all of the waterways, or China or Russia to control like the flow of global energy and the global economy.
Can you imagine that world, Shai?
I would, no.
And by the way, we're not far away. There's certainly a risk. Germany did very well in World War II, and the Soviet Union did very well in the Cold War. So, we've been very fortunate, and I think I'm a little older than some of the people in this room. So, during my lifetime, Vietnam notwithstanding, and Israel's various wars notwithstanding, we have largely been asleep. We've been enjoying a kind of it's like a vacation. We haven't been drafted. We haven't had to go fight. We've had prosperity. We're doing a little better than our parents, presumably, a lot better than our grandparents. We have a couple of cars. We have a couple of houses, one or maybe two. We send our kids to fancy colleges where they have climbing walls and gluten-free meals. We're like one of the most prosperous nations, certainly of our size, and most democratic in human history.
Yeah, we live a pretty luxury life, and even people who don't live in first world America, they also kind of live in a first class life. Like maybe whatever, but Americans definitely. Can we make sure that? Go ahead.
I wanted you to go ahead because I know I talk. Even working class people have lead lives of relative luxury. Even the poor in our country, which are vanishing, live better lives than people in most other countries. If you leave out, for example, Europe.
Should run on this, sir.
Huh? Well, he's not going to run anymore, presumably. I mean, I would
It
say
should be the Republicans' midterm strategies talk about how great everybody is right now.
I think the strategy is going to be Democrats are crazy.
Yeah, we have our problems in 2026, but in like 1906, 14-year-olds were being drafted to fight in wars. So,
Were they in this country?
no, not in America, but in like Russia.
Oh. I mean, Iran is just taking 12-year-olds to the army now, and so does Hamas. And then they say we're killing kids.
I know that some 16-year-olds signed up during World War I.
Oh yeah, probably World War 17 for sure. You get these stories all the time that they lied.
Yeah.
I mean, my first wife's parents got married at the age of 18 and went off, and then her dad went off to war to be a navigator in World War II. 18, off to war. Wife is home pregnant, and there was no material for wedding dress. So I said, why? Because they sent all the wedding dresses to the front. All the GIs were wearing, white wedding dresses when they were fighting in the trenches. But I think they used the material for parachutes, actually.
I think about it, just 100 years ago, 16, 17-year-olds were off to war, and in 2026, people are having a ridiculous conversation with people who believe that the age of consent should be 22. Sexual consent, but yeah. Maybe this luxury lifestyle has sort of created a failure to launch.
Oh, I think so. I think so. This whole generation Z is having difficulty launching.
Badly. It's just impressive. I mean, they're just hanging in there.
Any experience of this, Grace, without going into detail?
Well, I have a Gen Zer in college right now.
Yeah.
And thank God she's not like the rest, and she's, employed now until she graduates and always has been, but I don't see a lot of her friends doing that. I think that they're saying, oh, when I get out of college, I'm going to travel. I want to make sure that, I'm going to get a good job after I travel. I mean, these are, bubble moments, I call them, like on their heads. And it's very difficult. I'm watching her friends and I'm thinking to myself, like, even a part-time job. I don't care if you stay for a year and you're looking, but come on and launch.
Another thing, 100 years ago, they were fighting for stability, and now they're fighting for instability.
Right.
What does that mean?
I mean, they were fighting the wars for like global stability 100 years ago, right? And then World War I, World War whatever. And now you have Gen Z who are like, we need to have basically anarchy. We need to reverse the control of anything that we have actual control over. And they're fighting in many ways, at least in my observation, there's a fight to destabilize the stabilized world that we have.
So who's more anti-Semitic, the left or the right? Or did we cover that more than amply?
I mean, Tucker is pretty. I mean, he's in a league of his own.
He's a psychopath.
Exactly. Yeah, there's nothing else to call him.
And I feel badly that I once thought that he was a decent broadcaster. I did. I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong and when I've misread something, because I want to fix that. I want to see things clearly. And I think this is one of the great superpowers of Israel, is that it doesn't lose a war and then say it won. And it doesn't make a mistake and say, well, everything is fine. And, whatever, Am Yisrael Chad. They say, in the case of, say, Gaza, they say, we had a philosophy, we had a war strategy of deterrence, and it didn't work. They were undeterred. And so now, if they make a threat, and they have the ability to carry out that threat, we're going to remove the threat. And that's what you're seeing happen. That's what other people are calling genocide, which is what it isn't, because we're doing everything we can to keep the non-combatants alive. As many non-combatants as there are, they're kind of hard to find because the terrorists deliberately blend in with the population. So it's very...
Tucker is, the left and the right have different standards for anti-Semitism, but I don't even think calling Tucker anti-Semite puts his perspective in, puts his ideology in perspective, because at the end of the day, he's just anti-Western at this point. Like, he's looking for the downfall of America as a global hegemon, and, Israel goes down along with America in his worldview.
Leanne, why don't you ask Normo, the question, instead of just making you say, I highly doubt Normo is America first. Why don't you come up and ask him that question?
I mean, I'm from New York, Leanne. What's more America than New York? New York is like the distillation of America. It's like...
Manhattan, Kansas.
Manhattan, Kansas. That's true.
Don't forget, Leanne, we're the ones that, the World Trade Center bombing by the Arab Al-Qaeda terrorists on the September 11th, that was walking distance from my house. I watched it happen in real time, in the real world, standing at the end of my block. That's the America that I live in.
She's asking, why do you say we when speaking for Israel?
Because I'm a Jew. And Israel is the Jewish homeland, the Jewish refuge. They are my brothers and sisters. I am part of something called the Am. 2 little letters. It means community, tribe, family, nation, land, with a language, with a customs, with a founding document, the Torah, with a language, Hebrew, with a tradition, with a history. That's why, because I'm part of that. It's weird. Maybe it's a little bit of envy that you don't feel like you're part of something like that. I don't know what to tell you, but if you want to be an FOJ, a friend of the Jews, then come aboard.
Leanne, why are you saying that there's no distinction between government and its people? Carry on, Alan. I just wanted to...
No, that's good, because you're providing prompts. Like in a creative writing class or in a college class or something. So is there any, you know what I missed yesterday? This is how out of touch I am sometimes with local. I completely missed the Empire State Building thing yesterday until it was all over, and in one of the rooms, one of the people said, you turn on your television to see what's going on.
Well, they're in a lot of trouble now.
What happened?
That's right. Oh, you don't know this guy?
No.
So 2 wackos, I think they are of Russian origin now in this country. They climbed to the top of the spire, the antenna, on the Empire State Building yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And they stayed there a significant amount of time, too.
Thank you, proposed.
Okay, I saw that, but I didn't know exactly what it was. I didn't actually read. I wasn't invested enough to read it, but just
it gives me vertigo just watching the thing on television.
We watched it.
You watch it on TV?
Yeah, I watch it on TV.
It's unbelievable. And apparently they do this a lot. They climb to these really crazy, outrageous, like cranes and other buildings. I mean, how'd they get up there? And they have a Netflix series. I guess you know this.
That's correct.
Or like extreme climbers or something.
Yeah.
Yes, they're extreme in a lot of things, yes. Yeah, Momo wants to come up, and I just don't know him, so if anyone wants to bring him up.
I did.
Momo.
What's up,
Why
man?
do you always? No, that's only what's up. I don't want to talk to you. Why do you always?
But you're here to talk to. But you're here to talk to me. That's why you're here.
No, I don't want to know how you're going. I don't want to know anything about you.
I didn't ask you. I asked you how you're doing. I didn't tell you to ask me how I'm doing.
No, don't tell me. Ask me. You don't.
I'll ask you anything I want. God bless America.
Egyptian?
I don't walk like an Egyptian.
Okay, just wait. Why do you always? Are you a Mossad agent?
Yes. I'm
you're
James
James
Bondstein. Huh? What?
How much do they pay you? How much do they pay you?
They pay me 4 shekels a week.
So you're.
Is that it? I'm a poor man. I'm a poor man, exactly. I'm a broke Mossad agent.
Shit. Okay, just try to discuss other things. Don't come here every day speaking about Israel, talking about
I'll talk about anything I want.
State.
I'll talk about anything I want. Even with a demon like you. What's that?
Speak about the sports, for example, about the World Cup.
I talk about
China.
I speak about China.
Like this, you're showing us that you're a Mossad agent because you come here every day defending the same issues.
I am a Mossad agent.
Okay.
By the way, what's your beeper number?
Okay, well, like this, everyone will be aware of you. Everyone will be aware of you, and this is going to be a disaster for you. So I'm advising.
It's a disaster for me.
Momo, what's your point?
Do me a favor. Momo, do me a favor. I
will report your account. I will report your account, and
no, please don't.
I will report your account.
Please don't. Don't tell everybody that I'm a Mossad agent. It's a secret.
You're debunking yourself. You're debunking yourself.
I am? I'm debunking?
Yes, every day, 24 hours a day on the application, in many rooms defending your demonic state.
Yeah, but you're the demon.
Israel is you defend Egypt or Syria?
Yeah, Muslim Brotherhood.
Talking to them.
Don't be rude. Don't use a vulgar potty mouth, please.
No, I'm advising you to be a successful Mossad agent. I'm advising you.
What should I do? What should I do?
I'm advising you.
What should I
Try
do?
to discuss different things. Discuss different things.
What would you like to talk about? Who do you like in FIFA?
No, I'm not gonna talk to you about anything. Just a little advice.
But
you're not able to discuss
but you don't want to do it?
We are not morally equal. We're not morally equal to discuss anything. You're not like
no,
me.
I'm morally
superior
to you, but I'm talking to you anyway. What's that?
People like me will never talk to people like you. Just like
you're talking to me now.
So we will never
talking to me. No. Wait, but you've been talking to me now.
I will leave now. Just a little advice.
Okay.
I just wanted to debunk you in front of everyone. I just wanted to.
Wallahi.
I would like just to debunk him in front of everyone. That's it. Now everyone is aware of you. Fuck Israel.
That's right.
Fuck demons. Fuck demons.
Thank you for visiting.
Fuck you, Rabal. That's your
one.
Stalking revelation. Norm.
Could you imagine if somebody like that? Could you imagine if somebody like that controlled the Suez Canal or the Red Sea?
Can you believe it? Derashis, you're not going to tell anybody about my side gig, right?
Well, the highest order to me is the truth. Everyone knows now Norm is an intelligence asset.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm an ass.
Yes, I was concerned. I was concerned.
I mean, some people may think that. I'm sure my wife or my girlfriend have occasionally thought that. I don't know what women think of men, to tell you the truth. They get exasperated
very easily.
Now, gentlemen.
Sorry. I mean, we're mocking ourselves. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get into the thick of gender relations. So I'm just trying to keep the convo going.
Good.
I feel like the most pure, unadulterated Jew haters on this app tend to be Egyptian. I don't know why more than any other nationality.
It's because Mein Kampf is the second most popular book in Egypt.
Okay. Or is Mein Kampf the second most popular book in Egypt because there's a lot of Jew haters there?
Yes.
I mean, the competition is fierce for the worst Jew hater.
Why is it though that the nations where the governments seem to be the most friendly among the Arab or Middle Eastern nations seem to have the most Jew-hating population, and the governments that are most hostile to Israel, their people tend to be the most Jew-neutral or positive people in the Middle East?
Well, that's certainly true with, say, for example, say Saudi and Iran,
right.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's a rule. That might be coincidence. I think governments will use bigotry, racism, homophobia, anti-Semitism as ways of controlling the population by triggering their passions. So I'll give you an example. Trump used immigration as maybe his prime issue for running. Now, we did have a problem with immigration, but he also used it, and you guys are going to forgive me, but I'm going to trigger now, in a Hitlerian way. Fear of the outsider. Oh, the Mexicans and the Haitians, they're eating your dogs and your cats, and they're coming to your schools and all this kind of stuff. He did that. And now he's going to use, I promise you there'll be trans hoopla on the campaign trail coming up for the next election. So they're using homophobia and xenophobia as methods of controlling the population. And when the citizens revolt, as they're doing in the IRGC, then they just don't buy anything that the government is saying, and they do exactly the opposite of what the government says. So the Islamic State is saying hate the Jews, and the people are saying we don't hate the Jews, actually. As they said in Farsi, which means, take this Palestinian flag and shove it up your bum. That's what they sing at the soccer game. Thank you, son. Usually it's Iranian people who laugh at that. I don't want to be the only one running the room. Does anybody want to take it, want to bring up something, or take it in a different direction?
I just want to say I think that the country is near to Israel, like the Muslim countries next to Israel, like Egypt and Jordan, like the governments understand the type of stability that they want to maintain, but the people have been indoctrinated with a particular dose of Islam plus Arab nationalism that makes them, not only believe they need to help, which they don't actually believe they need to help the Palestinians. If they did, they will actually do a better job at helping them instead of like creating terrorism for them. But they believe that all Islamic land is theirs, like in the area, and that Israel was the Jews have stolen Islamic land. So it's part of their ideology, and they want to build their utopian Maidic society. And so...
Wait, what's that word there? You slipped that in there. That's a fancy word. Maidic?
Maidic.
Oh, Ummah, yes. The Ummah, yeah. All right.
Yeah, they want this caliphate, right? This They want to build this caliphate, and Israel is preventing this this ideology from being fully realized. So, you know, they want to enact and wage jihad. The people, the Gulf Arabs, don't necessarily care because they don't really like the Levantine Arabs anyway. They think they're just like barbarians mixed with a little bit of African blood, so it doesn't really matter. Which might be true.
Pepe, what controversy do you want to start?
Well, I'll just be upfront with it. Do you guys have any? Do you guys think there's? I see the world kind of turning on Jews and Israel. Do you guys not think that there's any? Do you guys have any idea why? Do you just blame it all on everybody else? So I think that you guys, I think Jews and Israel are. They don't really see how others see them. And I think it's a huge blind spot. And I honestly think they just have the worst optics ever. And
why are people racist, Pepe? Why were people anti-Asian during, you know, when Japan was fighting against us, which Israel is not right now, or when we had COVID? People are hateful and irrational, and they often default to racism.
I mean, I think that people also have been in silos on the internet for a while, and those silos in the internet, especially in the far right and the far left, are are expanding though, and they have been spreading anti-Semitic or soft palate anti-Semitism for a while now, right? For over 10 years, and then it got exacerbated after October 7th, for sure, because even after Israel only stopped the terrorists from killing its citizens, then the far left was saying that Israel and the Jews are already committing genocide, right? So just within less than 24 hours of stopping an attempted genocide, where the Jews and Israel accused of committing that heinous act. And it kind of spread from there, but now those silos are collapsing, but opening into the greater Republican and Democratic wings. I think that American politics have been captured by these extremes.
We can't gloss over what Pepe said, though. There's been a sharp hockey stick upward of Jew hate in the last 5 years in a way that is so severe and so acute, in a way that I never thought I would see in my lifetime. And, so much so that, just general, pure, bigoted hate in the heart, Jew hate, is within the Overton window.
Yeah, it's becoming mainstream. It's not just the appearance of it, it's the mainstreaming of it. Right? It's not viewed as aberrant as it.
As a pastor, may I call you a pastor? Is that the correct term?
Yes, sir.
As a pastor, I don't know what else to call you. How do you respond to that?
I think it's sin. I think it's sinful. I think it's terrible.
Okay.
There's a great quote by Karl Barth, one of my favorite theologians. It said, "Anti-Semitism, in all its forms, is a repudiation of the grace of God."
That's very powerful. That was very powerful.
Yeah, it's on my Facebook page. So I have it written down somewhere. Yeah.
I'm glad you did too.
I've known you for 2 days. Your client has disappeared.
But no, it's very interesting. Tucker today, I said actually, St. Taylor, Tucker and this Christian minister were just really advocating for replacement theology, right? That basically Christians are just going to choose this stuff. It was not subtle. Man, it was not subtle. It was wild. Tucker has a mission. It's really. And they'll say these things of course, anti-Semitism is wrong because, it's wrong to hate anybody because of their blood right here. And then he'll go on to do all these sort of anti-Semitic tropes, but then he'll qualify it with, but I'm not. an anti-Semite, it's just very, and of course Fuentes, and then he gets on, he had this pastor, Doug Wilson, who's just kind of a nut job and a Christian nationalist, a smart guy, but a nut job, and Wilson was like, well, Fuentes is kind of like the guy with one clean shoe. He does get it right about the systemic discrimination against white people, but then on the other shoe, he's got dog dirt. He's got dog poop and some of the misogyny and other explicit racism. But it's just interesting, the stuff that's getting mainstreamed, right? The stuff that's subtly becoming, and I do think this is one of the worst effects of Trumpism, right? It's not so much the policy stuff that's the worst. It's the normalizing stuff. Right, it's the having Nick Fuentes at Mar-a-Lago and stuff like that. It's stuff that's let out of the closet a little bit, right? That I think is the stuff where it's tough to get stuff back in the toothpaste back in the tube.
So did you? I listened to parts of that where he was in. I don't even know what the fuck the guy was. I feel like he's just a writer. But he's a
Chicago mayoral candidate, John Kitover, running on February 23rd.
He's from a couple days ago or something.
Yeah, he's the guy with the beard, kind of overweight. Yeah, he's a pastor, a very smart guy. He started a church in Moscow, Idaho. I know people from that church. And he's a Christian nationalist. Not a racial white nationalist, but he would want, if he was running Moscow, Idaho, you would be allowed to have a synagogue, but not build a mosque. Muslims would be able to gather in their homes and pray, but no mosques. Doug's interesting. If you want to hear an interesting conversation with Doug Wilson, I say interesting, it's a clinically neutral term. Ross Douthat had him on his podcast. If you don't listen to Ross Douthat's podcast, Interesting Times, it's fantastic. Very interesting. And he had Doug Wilson on to talk about Christian nationalism and Christian American stuff. And Wilson is very smart. He's not some sort of dumb evangelical, Bible thumping. He's a very, very bright guy. And also a little crazy.
When I listen to these people, I don't really hear. I was raised Catholic, but I don't really attend church or anything like that. But none of the stuff they say, generally, it's to combat Christian nationalism, and I don't really hear anything that is incorrect. It might be impolite to say to a Jewish audience, but it's not. I don't really think it's. I don't even think it's anything that's really bizarre, except for the Christian nationalists, how they would actually want to. They kind of have a jihadi way of wanting to, use the government, I guess you can say, for what or have laws. But I don't really hear. Other than that, I don't really see their interpretations as being extreme.
So I think that what I said connects to what both Pepe and Scott are saying, right? So those silos on the extremes. One was always white Christian on the right, white Christian nationalism, right? And that just became the popular ideology in the far right in a large part of the Republican Party. This extreme or becoming more popular, and then on the far left you have this democratic socialism. Yes, what they call it. Yep. But it basically is communism, and neither of those things like Jews. And now they're collapsing. They're collapsing in on themselves.
To be fair, on the right, the white nationalist types, and there's a little bit of a marriage when you see people like the Goibergs, and there's that whatever something. I don't know if it's Andrew Torba, the guy who owns Gab. You get some people that are racialist, more like white nationalists, but for the most part, as somebody's been in those circles for years, those two groups do not really get along. And fundamentally, how can you be an Christian